Welcome everyone. I'm the hero, today enjoyed by Pink, and later Alex, probably, for the Shut Your Mouth Lounge, episode 287, I wanna say?
It's 280 something.
Yeah, something like that. Let me check. Yes. Good. So, yeah. Pink, anything coming out on your channel?
Yes! There's gonna be a decent amount of stuff coming out on my channel. So I'm going to have Street Fighter 6 coming out with Alex. That was supposed to go up this week. It never got around to it. So it's on the back burner, but it will be out this week/weekend. I don't know. Haven't set it up to upload yet. But it's there. It's done. Everything's good. Um there's going to be more WWE 2K23 NXT Universe mode. There's going to be a little bit of Dead by Daylight coming out. There's going to be Gladius with Alex coming out. There's going to be... I want to say there's one other thing coming out, but I don't remember what it is. Maybe there's nothing. I don't remember. And also, there's going to be potentially... I've just started up this past Friday night. There's potentially going to be a WCW Universe mode that I'm going to be starting on uploading in the future. So yeah, that should be everything on my end. A lot of stuff with Alex,
I mean,
a lot of stuff with wrestling, and sprinkling of Dead by Daylight as well.
I mean, your WCW universe can't be realistic because you can't go bankrupt at the end.
Right? It's kind of unfortunate, but don't worry. I'm gonna cram all the celebrities I can in there. I think I'm gonna have David Arquette be my inaugural WCW champion of the world.
Oh yeah. Don't forget to clone Stank 4 times so he can have a fatal 4-way with himself.
Right. It's the WCW way.
Yeah. Run a story where everyone's Sting beats gets the face paint. So yeah. As for my channel, I probably have something coming out on Friday on the second channel. For the first one, I actually got around to working on stuff. I retook my my narration for the review I'm working on. It needs to be edited still, but you know, it's editing. I sat down yesterday to edit stuff, and it took all of the day. And I got like I wanna say 7 minutes into the video. There's another like well no 7 minutes into the finished video, by the way, which means that was probably like 15 overall.
Yeah.
But yeah, there should still be like half an hour of just audio editing that I have to do. Then I have to go back and do the visual stuff to make the audio work, make sense. That's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's probably it. I don't think it's. I mean, depending on how free I am, it might come out this week, the review. Hopefully, it can come out this week, the review, because I've been sitting on it for the past 3 months, I think.
Oh my.
Like, I checked while I was switching over to the group channel, and then my last video came out 86 days ago. When was 86 days ago?
Good question. I couldn't tell you.
Like, even roughly averaging it to be 30 days a month. That's still like 3 months, give or take.
Yeah.
Like nearly 4.
Almost.
So yeah, hopefully it can come out after that. I'm not sure what I'll be doing. I'll elaborate on that during my week, I guess. But yeah. And then for the group channel, we have Katamari Damacy, part 13.
Oh no!
That's gonna be a thing. Then, the time we did personality quizzes.
Oh yeah!
And then finally, Terraria. I think the last one? I'm not sure.
I was like, how much more Terraria do we have in the bank? We need to... Wait, did we finish that playthrough? I don't remember.
No, we dropped that playthrough because we once again got to the point where like this was the second trial run of whatever journey mode, and we just decided after like the second session or something like that journey mode is just not for us.
Ah,
So technically we finished it in the sense that it's cancelled. Yes.
excellent.
But yeah, if we come back to Terraria, it will be like regular regular modded Terraria instead of journey mode.
Right.
Probably. But yeah, speaking of, I spent. I guess this is part of my week, but I don't know where I'd put it, so I guess I'll say it here. I spent all of yesterday editing or GM mode, which by the way, we recorded that also 3 months ago, I think.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
No, it wasn't 3 months ago because 3 months ago was when the game came out. So it would have been at least it would a month and a half or something like that. Who knows?
Yeah, 3 months ago
Either which way.
was March. The game came
Yeah.
out in March, and we recorded. You probably recorded in April because I don't think Alex had any of the DLC characters when we started it, and there have been several DLCs.
He had Steiner. I distinctly remember him saying that he had to disable Steiner.
Oh, really?
Scott. Yeah.
Ah.
So whatever pack Scott Steiner was in.
That's
was already
right,
out.
because yeah, we did our draft with Soon as well, and Top Dollar was one of his picks. So yeah, the first DLC pack had come out, but not the second.
Yeah.
And the first DLC would have dropped in April or something. Or at least I think it would have. Late April, I want to say. So yeah, sometime in April or early May, that's when we recorded or began recording GM mode, and probably stopped mid-May, I'd assume.
Something like that, I think so. But yeah, point being, I've already done the first session previously. We had the second and third sessions still. That was 15 hours of raw footage. I woke up at 9. I spent, I want to say, half an hour editing my own video because, I wanted to get shit done with that too. And then I went, I don't want to edit, I don't want to do audio editing. There's a point where I don't know if you have this when you edit. You might not edit for 8 hours at a time.
No, I don't. I'm very, very quick and irrational with my editing.
But yeah, there's a point in doing like minute details with editing and stuff like that where I just feel drained. and sometimes I soldier on because it needs to be done and I want to be done with it. Sometimes like yesterday I just go, you know what? I'm having less fun than I usually do. Which like you'd imagine you couldn't have less fun than 0, but still. But like I'm having less fun than I usually do. I don't want to do this anymore. If I continue doing this, I will just stop giving a shit. Which there are videos on this channel where you can clearly tell that I stopped giving a shit while editing. For example, watch Terraria, any series.
Watch all the series because we need views.
That too. But yeah, like Terraria, any series in Terraria, there's gonna be at least one episode in any one season of Terraria where because like Terraria is fun for us to play. Terraria can be fun for content. Problem is, Terraria is also 10 hours of doing nothing and then 15 minutes of fighting a boss or whatever.
Yeah.
I have to watch all of those 10 hours in case we said something funny.
Right.
And that means that sometimes I just go, oh, the audio is out of sync. I'll just fix that later, and then I forget, or something like that. And there's multiple videos where you can just tell that I stopped giving a shit because the audio is out of sync. The cutting isn't the cutting is very loose around what's actually supposed to be being shown and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I don't like those videos because they show what happens when I stop giving a shit. At the same time, they still show what happens when I try to force myself to edit. Like it's one of those things where like, if I were doing this for a job, I might do a better job at it because that's money that I'm taking out of someone's hand.
Yeah.
The only person taking money out of someone's hand here is YouTube. They're taking money out of our hand because they're putting ads on every video,
Right.
regardless of our consent.
Right.
But and like even if the thing arose, like I don't think any of us three would be like, hey, let's get a salary out of this YouTube channel. Oh yeah, just quit your job. YouTube will be fine.
Yeah.
Of course. Not at all building on top of sand.
Not at all.
No. But yeah. And with the GM mode, I edited it consistently. But at the same time, once again, 15 hours of footage. God knows how long the first one was. Like, I don't know what you or WJ expect out of that series, Pink. You might be disappointed because it is just kind of a high, like it's a show report. That's the most consistent way that I could do it, because it watching 15 hours of footage, which is mostly just us sitting silently while we book.
Yeah.
Would have taken me a lot longer for no real increase in quality. So I just took the initiative to be like, all right, I'm gonna take the results. The results will be in the videos, and I will catch whatever funny things we said. If I can find them, then I'll put them in. If I can't, then I won't. Because chances are, if by the time I'm editing them, if there was anything that stood out to me while recording, I don't remember it. And if I don't remember it, I probably don't know what the context was. Like, I remembered you sending Omas to Hollywood. That's in the videos. But that's like the one thing that I remember.
Well, that's the only
Aside
thing
from
that's
it all-
important. So yeah, you could have just made our entire My GM a short of Omos going to Hollywood and giving me $1 million. Would have been fine.
Yeah. But yeah, and like also the first session was cut into 15-minute videos, so they fit our time limit that we put upon ourselves, because we had discussions about how long the videos are. I guess this is like backstage stuff now. But whatever. People enjoy learning this shit sometimes. I know I do. But yeah, like, we had discussions about how long these videos are generally, and I try to keep them around 15 to 20 minutes. So the first session was edited to 15 minutes, which worked for the first session because we didn't play any of the matches. With the second and third sessions, I just went, fuck it. I'm gonna cut it so it's 30 minutes or around there, depending on the shows. I will not cut a week in half. Now this does mean that 2 videos are an hour and a half each. But I also did this because I figured, well, there's gonna be a factor of videos, because the 15 hours that I edited still came out to 6 hours once edited.
Oh my!
And if you do the maths, if I not accounting for cutting off weeks or whatever, 6 hours of footage should yield 24 videos. If I schedule 24 videos for the channel, the way that the shit is like the way that we schedule videos right now, those 24 videos would have lasted us another year, I'm pretty sure. I didn't want it to last us another year. So I figured, well, I can call the numbers if I do it in 30-minute intervals, and then the couple of shows that went for an hour and a half just came in handy for that. Really.
Yeah.
So right now, GM will last until March 2024.
Woo!
Yeah. Which, I mean, to be fair, if we're quick on our feet, unlike this time, if we're quick on our feet and record GM mode in 2K24 fast, then we can just transition seamlessly. Which like you raised the problem of us sitting on this footage, and you said yourself that we're not striking the iron while it's hot, and that's sort of my thing, that like we're not striking the iron while it's hot. If we were, then I would reschedule all 5 million videos that we already have scheduled. Because fuck it, or I'd reset it in a new time slot or whatever. But since we're not, then it can go up whenever it feels like it.
Right.
At the same time, we are reaching the point. Like there is a point where even I go, okay, that's too many videos scheduled, and we have gone past it. Like I posted it in the channel thread, whatever, one of the channel threads in Discord. I posted the image of that one video that I scheduled for like the end of March, and I call it ridiculous because it is like I think it's a fighting game video, and like the chances of us not playing fighting games until March 2024 are slim. When are the videos supposed to be going? you know. Uh, it's also why I've been like, hey, we should record like random one of games that we have access to, because then we can actually upload those, and it's not going up for like sometime in the next like 12 years it will come out.
Right.
And like if we do with this team of, we have 2 like proper playthroughs, and then wrestling stuff, and then fighting games in their own time slots, then we can do shit like, hey, let's like try to play through, I don't know, Super Mario World in an evening, and see how far we get, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just upload that as a one-off. Which technically we do have access to Super Mario World in a manner that both of us can play together online. So yeah,
that is a fact.
Or we can play Mario RPG. No, we won't. Hey Pink, when are we starting our Chrono Trigger playthrough?
That is an excellent question.
But also there's also a thing of like, for another thing that I have to complain about with the schedule, which just to show that like this, for me, this is out of security, but not really out of, because I prefer this. But yeah, for example, Danganronpa. I got Danganronpa for my birthday. That was 3 months ago. In those 3 months, I played it for an hour because that's what we recorded.
Right.
I haven't turned on Danganronpa since. Because I'm just because I could play through it, but I don't want to spoil myself, because the whole thing was that neither of us know what has going on.
Right.
And on one hand, we could record more Danganronpa, and we will have to eventually. But that's the catch. Eventually, Danganronpa, the first episode of Danganronpa hasn't come out.
That's true. We're still sitting on that one.
Like, I can actually look it up if you want. When the first episode of Danganronpa is coming out, August.
That's 2-3 months from now. What month are we in? June. So 2 months from now.
Yeah, June. Yeah, how much of a gap is that between March and August? Well, it wouldn't have been March. It would have been April, I think, as well. But still, how much of a gap is there between April and August?
Yeah. A significant amount of months right there.
Yeah, there's also the thing of like, sometimes you don't feel like doing this thing, but we don't mind doing this similar thing. And like for example, Nekojishi is something that I bring up a lot, because you said that you would like to do it again. I enjoyed recording it the first time. Unlike Danganronpa, I have literally no reason to play it on my alone time.
Right.
Because it's fun to record, but not necessarily
right.
like, not necessarily something that I care about.
Yep.
But at the same time, I'm not gonna be like, hey, let's record Nekojishi while we have Danganronpa running, because they're both visual novels.
Right.
So yeah. And then like once again, the sheer like, it to me it feels like, I don't know how much you look at the video catalog on the group channel, but
I don't think I've looked
on
at the
one hand,
video catalog since. When was the last time I checked that? It wasn't like several years ago or anything. It was actually fairly recent, but not recent enough to where I'd say within the past 3 months.
because yeah, to me it's just like it feels very pride, but also with this ridiculous, like, I don't know what to call it, but like I find it very humorous that I can look at a video that's coming out next year and I go, when the fuck did we record this?
I want to say there was something that I uploaded to the YouTube channel for you to edit. It wasn't Assassin's Creed because I still haven't done that yet, but there was something I
Yeah.
uploaded on the YouTube channel. And when I was uploading it, I saw all the videos we had scheduled, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I remember recording that. When's this coming out? Oh, 7 months from now. Okay."
Yeah. I mean, we have videos coming out still. There's a video that's coming out next week. We recorded that last year. Like, I'm pretty sure we recorded this thing on New Year's. It's just coming out now.
Awesome.
So, And then similarly, there's also another another video that's coming out in like, where is it? Okay, it's coming out in like 4 months, something like that. I haven't found it. Point is, we recorded that video also during that first week of the year. So
Yeah. Quite impressive.
Once again, I like having this backlog for security, and so we can have just like off weeks where we don't do anything, because then the channel will keep growing on its own, and it has since we upload consistently every week. We've actually been growing.
Nice.
So we got 3 subscribers this week.
Very nice.
People actually listen to this podcast.
What the heck? Why?
Yeah, I don't know, but this is doing better than fighting games are. which actually has a topic all like
Right?
this.
Pretty wild.
Yeah. So like, this whole like the scheduled stuff and having a backlog works out. But at the same time, it does limit what we can do sometimes, because like you said, there's Assassin's Creed. We recorded Dark Souls 2 with W, an hour of it. Where the fuck do those do?
Yeah.
like Assassin's Creed and Dark Souls will just start appearing sometime after March next year, I guess. Probably not, because the way I have it scheduled is still like, trying to break up the monotony of just one thing. So like, if you don't care about wrestling, then come back next week and we'll have, I forget what's in the Monday title. I think it's Danganronpa.
Nice.
And then if you don't care about fighting games, then you can come back next week and then watch, like, I don't know, Terraria or Dark Souls or whatever. Like I like it this way because it means that we have our gimmicks. Because we for all intents and purposes have become a fighting game and wrestling channel. But also at the same time, we're not strictly those.
Right.
And I like that because it's a wider net.
We've got variety.
Yeah, and that was my thing. Like I prefer variety because when you this has come up with the games we play and all that too. But like when you do the same thing for like the 1,000th time in a week, it becomes kind of monotonous.
Right.
And for the same reason, like I prefer when people go out of their their expertise or whatever, just to see what happens. Like there's a guy I watch who talks about iPods.
Yeah.
And the guy knows a lot about iPods. Has worked in refurbishing iPods and shit like that. Very interesting videos when it's about iPods. But eventually he's talked about all of the iPods. So what now? Well, he branched into talking about just accessories and talking about phones in general, or talking about audio equipment, talking about drums because the guy's a drummer. Otherwise, that was their job before they became a YouTuber.
Yeah.
And that to me is interesting because I get to learn different facets of this guy's expertise, and he can portray them in the same way. And once you this is the perfect like character driven content or whatever the fuck people keep spouting.
Yeah.
But like I'm not around to I am around to learn about the contents of the video. I'm also around because I know that this guy says the things in a way that I understand. And like I'm scared of like, scared is a strong word, but like I wouldn't like becoming a channel like I don't even know who to point out, but I guess like no shade against the content because I like the guy, but like Z, for example, Z Royal Viking, you remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah, Z's channel to me felt like it had a shelf life of like I'm interested in this one sort of content. If I don't care about this sort of content, I will not watch Z.
Right.
And like I guess for me, like I already have a channel for it's my main channel. I make reviews.
Yeah.
You know? And then even then, I have a second channel. I made a second channel for the express purpose of I don't feel like making a review. I'll just make a YouTube poop, or I'll make just some random shit post of a glitch or whatever.
Yeah.
And that to me is satisfying because I get to have I get to have my cake and eat it too. And then we can do that with the group channel because I'm not gonna manage 4 channels.
Right.
I already managed four channels depending on the season.
Let's make another
That's not a
group
joke.
channel, and then another one after that as well for good measure.
Yeah, we'll have this one for wrestling and fighting games. We'll make a second one for variety content. We'll have a third one for live streams.
Yeah.
And then we'll also make a Twitch for the live streams.
Yes. We're also gonna make another fighting game sub channel, but we're gonna make we're gonna have one dedicated to Street Fighter, one dedicated to Guilty Gear. We might make a third dedicated to Skullgirls, but Virtua Fighter. You know, well, we can combine some of these. You know, we can have Virtua Fighter and Tekken, and then we'll have Skullgirls and Soul Calibur. And then we can have Street Fighter and Street Fighter.
I mean, I like your suggestions because Virtua Fighter and Tekken are similar because Tekken directly ripped off Virtua Fighter. Skullgirls and Soul Calibur, the same game.
You can't tell me there's a difference. It's the same. It's the same.
My favorite part of Soul Calibur was the assists and the strictly 2D movement.
Exactly.
But yeah, we'll also open an OnlyFans, but post like shit posts on it.
Precisely.
But yeah. So yeah, shit coming your way until March. For sure.
Tune in next week when we still have stuff coming out until March, maybe even April.
Yeah, I mean you joke. I forget which one it was. I'm gonna have to check. It might have been GM mode. I might have fucked up the scheduling of GM mode. I have to look over it because if it's coming out weekly, which I don't believe it will be, if it runs until the end of March, if it's coming out bi-weekly, like it probably should be, then it might run until April, the first week of April.
Ah.
And yeah. Like once again, this is the point by which even I go, you know what? That's too much backlog. We don't need that much backlog. We can just wait. We can do other stuff.
Yeah.
Like we can fucking do more quizzes, or we can just do whatever the hell we feel like. That's not wrestling games or fighting games, and we'll be fine for the next 4 months.
It's good stuff, yo.
Yeah. Like I remember when we were talking about this before we had this backlog. When I suggested switching over to the bi-weekly schedule, and I was like, I want to build a backlog to make sure that we don't run out of videos. And here we are. I overachieved. So yeah. I, once again, I just want to point out, like, I'm looking down at this list. I have a video here, Mortal Kombat called Quan Chi versus the World. It's coming out in September. We recorded this shit like 4 months ago, if not more. I don't remember. Like, this was before you downloaded Fightgate Pink.
Right, that's been a while.
Like, that was the first time W played Mortal Kombat 4, any version of it.
Oh.
And yeah, I usually lose W to all of the Mortal Kombats, more or less, to the classic ones. Because if memory serves, like he's seen them but never played them, and I have played them before. And MK4 is the reason I don't like Mortal Kombat as much as I did. Oh boy, MK4 sucked. Like if you remember when we showed you when we showed you Mortal Kombat, you remember how much Mortal Kombat sucked?
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat 4 was worse.
Oh my. That's
Yeah,
impressive.
there's a reason that we didn't show you Mortal Kombat 4, and that's the reason. But yeah, I guess moving on to normal stuff. Pink, what have you been up
What
to?
have I been up to? Unfortunately, not much this week because I was doing a lot of work-related stuff and then not having a lot of time for fun. So the only major things on my end were playing Dead by Daylight with Mike. There's a new anniversary event out. There's also a new killer out and Survivor as well. I don't like the way the new killer plays because he's you know in Rainbow Six Siege, Valkyrie, she's got all those little black eye cameras.
Yeah.
This new killer is actually very similar in that way, where he's got a bunch of cameras, you know, the 360 all-around cameras that he can then
Yeah.
toggle into to peep on the survivors, and that's cool and all. But playing as him when I've played a video game that actually does that mechanic good, and then playing Dead by Daylight, which does a really bad job of implementing a comfortable way to use those cameras, it feels bad, man. It feels bad. So,
I mean, I thought you were gonna say that the new killer sucks because it's not Christopher Walken.
well, that's always a given.
Yeah.
It's walking over there. But yeah. Wasn't a fan of the new killer. Haven't touched the new survivor perks or anything. So not a lot of info to spread on that. Anniversary event is fun. It's also super chaotic because they've introduced a new game mechanic where they've got invitations spread all over the maps in random locations. If you grab an invitation, you get a power up that will enable you to create a pallet where there wasn't one before, or block a window after you vault it, so it makes it really hard for the killer to get you. And then on the killer side, if they activate their powers, they can do one of two things. Well, three things actually. One of them is they can break a pallet without having to actually go kick it or anything like that. They can also toggle an endurance for about 5-6 seconds. So if they get pallet stunned, they get recuperated a lot quicker than normal. And then the final one is when they're chasing a survivor, if they've chased them for about 35 seconds, which triggers Bloodlust. After triggering Bloodlust, they can then toggle their ability to give that survivor the exposed status effect. Which, if you remember the exposed status effect, that is when the survivor is able to be knocked down in one hit, regardless of their health states. So it can get pretty nutty. It can get pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's been wild. I've been waffling on whether this has been a fun event or just an absolutely abysmal one, because if you're playing as killer and all the survivors have grabbed an invitation or two and you're looping around the shack, which is one of the strongest obstacles in the game, and they've dropped the killer shack, so okay, you don't have to worry about that anymore. That's great. But then they spawn in another pallet at the Killer Shack, so you got to deal with that. And then if they drop it in, it breaks instantly because the special pallets don't get to stay up after they've been dropped. They break instantly. But yeah, one survivor puts up another pallet. Another survivor puts up another pallet. So that's 4 pallets you have to eat through, in addition to the 5th one that spawns there at base. So that can get pretty frustrating if you're having a rough time as killer. But aside from all the hijinks that the anniversary event brings in with their special abilities, it's been fun. Let's see. I did not invest much time to Street Fighter 6 since last week, as I said on Sunday or Monday. I unlocked Tammy's classic outfit, the only reason I played World Tour at all, to be quite honest. But I had fun. World Tour was alright. I thought it was a fun little mode that they implemented. I thought it could be really frustrating at times. I really couldn't read the map at all until like the very end after I quote unquote beat the game, because I didn't actually beat it. I just beat the part that I wanted to beat and considered it done. So yeah, navigating the mini map, I didn't like. I really didn't like that mini map at all whatsoever. And
Yeah.
let's see. The gameplay though is wonderful. I love the gameplay. Modern controls are great. You should stop being a hater. Stop ingesting all the haterade. Unbelievable. You filthy classic players. I bet you have a joystick as well. That'd be disgusting. Oh man.
It doesn't even work anymore.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Disgusting. But what else was I gonna say? I loved all the new characters that they introduced, and then there's also Luke. I thought Kimberly was a lot of fun. I've not played as Lily. Lily's like my least favorite character, just because I think her design is kind of terrible, and she's small, so like why? But I thought Manon, Marissa, Kimberly, and Jamie and JP were all phenomenal new additions. They all have very fun, unique play styles, and they have all got a lot of personality in their designs. So I give the Street Fighter, whoever develops that franchise, 2 thumbs up, because in the previous Street Fighter or in previous Street Fighters, there have been a lot of characters that are like top tier designs and gameplay aspects, and then you've also got like 3 or 4 guys that are just like, no. Street Fighter Counter-Strike or whatever, it's like got some really great designs, and then it's also got some really terrible designs, like Oro. Like,
oh yeah, Third Strike.
Yeah, Third Strike. Counter-Strike, that's a different game.
Yeah. Yeah, see, like I said this off of recording, but I don't feel the newcomers myself because I don't like their designs.
That's where you're wrong. That's fair. That's fair.
Similar, like the modern controls you brought up. I don't have a seating cadence for modern controls that most other people do. I don't like how it's balanced, mainly.
Right.
But and that could be fixed fairly easily, because like my problem with it is that it's competitively very viable, where like you do 80% less damage but only with raw specials. So basically, if you throw a Hadouken just normally without doing a combo first, you do the Hadouken, it deals 80% of the damage the Hadouken normally would, unless you do the classic input for it, which you still can, and that does normal damage. Or if you do it in a combo, it still does damage. Or if you do this or that, it still does the normal damage. Like there's the amount of debuffs that you get for playing modern are minuscule for the amount of advantages it gives you. Because at any point in time, you can just start doing the classic inputs, and it works. Those still work. The only thing that it really does competitively is just make it so you don't have access to your bad footsies buttons. So like you lose access to maybe like 3 punches. Not 3. Yeah, you don't get the punch. You only get the kick. No, you only lose access to like maybe three like normal punches that you otherwise would get, or whatever normal attacks.
Yeah.
And that to me is very minuscule because they made sure that most characters still get their best footsies tools. You know, the most reaching, most safe normal attacks that they have. Though those are still included in modern playstyle and whatever. And like I said this, I did this whole spiel on Fighting Games R as well, which came out this past week. But like you know what, then you might might be asking why I don't play modern. But like I don't give a fuck about winning. I don't enjoy playing with modern controls because I don't like how platform fighters feel. It feels like a platform fighter. I'm not gonna say that other people suck for playing it, but at the same time, it but don't we call it respecting? But really, it's a thing of like it inherently makes the fight not fair because like it's thing of trying to make the fight more fair for newer players. It make the fight unfair in the sense that we are not playing the same game. You are playing a much more simplified, streamlined version of Street Fighter 6 than I am. You have a lot easier way to do a Shoryuken.
Right.
And a lot of times it doesn't feel like it felt. I have to say this in past tense. I have to remember because I actually fought modern players and my opinion changed. Wouldn't you know?
Unbelievable.
But, yeah. Well, no, I say that like I haven't fought modern players before. No, I fought modern players who weren't flowcharters. Pretty much is what it boils down to. But yeah, like it felt like I lost to the control scheme more than the player that was using them. You know.
Yeah.
And that's basically the same issue that you have with Classic.
Yeah, that's fair.
Isn't it? But yeah, like I fought modern players since then, since I got out of like low bronze, who actually were using footsies tools fine. They were doing they were doing the stuff that I expect out of people of that experience to be doing, and those matches were fun. So I'm fine with people using modern controls as long as the matches themselves don't become a slog.
Yeah.
But when people start flowcharting, modern makes flowcharting easier, and I hate people who flowchart because fighting them is not fun. Because like Pink, flowcharting, we've explained this, I believe, but I don't expect you to retain this shit. Like I figured your memory banks doing the like Ron Burgundy clip of taking the stuff that I throw at you for the fighting game lingo and just throwing it in the trash. But yeah. So yeah, flowcharting is just using like distilling your character down to like I don't know 3 or 4 moves that you do in every situation, and then trying to get situations where that makes it better for you, where you can use those and blocking otherwise. Fighting those people, regardless of controls, is not fun. Like the saltiest I ever got playing against Orendo was in Street Fighter 5. I fought a flowcharter that was playing Nekali. They used 2 specials. No normals. No other specials. Just those 2 specials and spacing and blocking. Those were that was the thing. And the flowcharting, like I dislike flowcharting because to me it's antithetical to why I play fighting games. Because flowcharting makes sense if you wanna win.
Yeah.
But which is why I'm not gonna say like people who flowchart are bad people.
Yeah.
But to me it doesn't make sense because we're not doing this as a job. Like I'm assuming that the people I fight in Bronze 4 aren't the people who are going to Evo and winning.
Probably not, but
just a hunch. And
you can never be too sure.
And so just trying to strive for the win to me just feels like it's taking the entertainment out of fighting games as a video game entertainment. It's just video game job at that point. I cannot interact with any part of this game aside from these 3 moves because I know these 3 moves are safe and I have to win. I have to win.
Right.
And yeah, I had my rant about modern controls because of that, and still I feel like they are too strong because of the thing that I said. Like I think modern controls should be mediocre is the best way I can put it. Like modern consoles shouldn't change how they work as much, because I think they're a good like gateway into learning classic controls. They could be a good reason for people to learn classic controls eventually if they feel like
Yeah.
it. Because like I said, if you want your higher damage input, you have to learn the classic input for the moves. And then if you're doing them in modern controls, you can still rely on the modern controls whenever you're not whatchamacallit, like whenever you don't feel safe doing the classic input. And then once you get good enough at the classic input, you can just, or you feel like you got good enough with the classic input, you can just practice that shit.
Yeah.
But as it is, it feels like it might be a bit too competitively viable. If the damage was tuned a bit more, I would be singing a different tune, but at the same time, it might still be working out the way I want it to, because the higher I climb in rank, the less modern controls people I see.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be. Like, you don't go with the technically gimped way to play, because you're used to doing these things.
Yeah.
And that's in my opinion how it should be. I don't know about you, but like, I wouldn't expect, and I wouldn't want someone with modern controls winning Evo, just because then what's the point of classic?
That is a good question.
Like, if people can play this thing competitively while putting in less effort, then why is there a more effort option?
That's an excellent question. Why make the game harder on yourself? That's a very good question.
Yeah, and like I raised this for WW2, because like but whatever, I'll get back to that, because because that's probably something will come up on during my week anyway.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so basically, I don't hate modern controls. I just think they're a bit too overtuned. But I think a lot of things are a bit too overtuned at this early stage.
Right.
Like, I need to get more used to the game, and also the developers need data.
Yeah.
So yeah, Pink, what else did you do aside from Dead by Daylight and Street Fighter
Dead
6?
by Daylight, Street Fighter 6. I don't think there is anything else of note. I think those were the two main things from this weekend.
All right then. I guess I'll hit the thing that I didn't want to hit. Then why not?
Fair enough.
But but yeah, like I raised the whole control stuff with W as well during fighting games, are because Street Fighter 6 made me think about fighting games, and where they seem to be headed and all that, and like, and it, especially how Street Fighter 6 has most everything that I asked for out of a fighting game, and yet I'm still not enjoying it as much as I feel like I should.
Ah.
And then couple that with the modern controls and people saying that it should be competitively viable, and like, if the modern controls become competitively viable, what's like, then other companies will take that to mean we don't need the classic controls, we'll just switch over to playing like Smash Brothers.
Right.
And I don't like playing Smash Brothers. So then why should I play fighting games?
That's a valid concern.
But then also I've also, like, the other stuff I'm playing also isn't holding my attention again. So W said that it might just be depression, which it might. Uh, so like I try to, like, because we do fighting games and stuff like that. Like, I think about fighting games more than I would have, or than I necessarily want to.
Yeah.
Like, it's why I send you videos on how to improve, because I figure, hey, if I can consistently get to a level where it's fun to play against me, then at least you can get better while not noticing.
Right.
Or whatever. And then we'll find a middle ground eventually, somehow, hopefully. But yeah, like, overall, like, What was I trying to say?
Good question.
Like, if not for this channel, honestly, I wouldn't care about fighting games as much as I technically do. Because, like, it's like I like fighting games, all right, but they're not as important to me as it may seem like with how much I talk about them, honestly. But that's a lot of things. Like, I think I said this another time when it was just the two of us, that like Digimon. I like Digimon, sure, but like I'm not one of those people who like watch every series and whatever, and like, just knows all of the manga plots and
Yeah.
plays the trading card game, which those people exist. Like I tried watching the first season of the Digimon anime series because people like the people I saw talking about it said that it was very good and like better than Pokemon or whatever. I couldn't finish it because I lost interest. It might have been good if you were also like 10 when you were when you were watching growing up, but for me, I watched like 20 episodes and then I just stopped caring because I didn't like any of the characters that enough really.
Yeah.
And like that's my basic thing with everything. Like I can make it seem like I care about things a lot more than I actually do. Because like I'll go on a rant about like fighting game controls or whatever because that's content. We have to talk about something.
Yeah.
But like, but at the end of the day, am I gonna be like a tournament player in fighting game? No. Do I really care about like the roster of Street Fighter? No, not really. Like sometimes that comes true because like what do I care about in Street Fighter? Is there a Kuma on the roster? What do I care for Mortal Kombat? Is there a mech on the roster? What do I care about for Kim? If Kim on the roster or Rugal, like that kind of shows that really I care about like a bit of this game, but otherwise whatever.
Yeah.
And that's just how I am with most things. Like ever since it especially became a thing since Assassin's Creed and Yakuza went the way they did. But like I try not to get too attached.
Yeah.
But also even before then, like what are my favorite games that I used to play? Contra, and like only the first one in that Adventure Island 2, but only Adventure Island 2. Sengoku Basara. That's it. Like I'm trying to think of like all of the stuff, but like really, a lot of times I just play stuff to play stuff because I have time and I have a life to waste.
Yeah.
But that also means that I don't get too attached. I enjoy a thing while I'm engaging with it. I may think about it eventually sometimes, but I'm not gonna be like, hey, I need to petition someone over this.
Right.
Like for example, Dust Elysian Tale. I will keep shitting Dust Elysian Tale until y'all buy it. You know this. But yeah, Dust Elysian Tale. I played it reluctantly when I was 13. And it was a lot better than what I anticipated, and it made me like roguelikes, or not roguelikes. What the fuck am I talking about? I'm scrambled. No, it made me like Metroidvanias a bit more, which is to say at all, because like even after I played it for years, I was like, I hate all Metroidvanias, and like, yeah, no, most Metroidvanias are not for me. Like the concept of going back and forth for no real reason across the map doesn't really like make me interested in a game, and that's what most Metroidvanias try to sell themselves on.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it did show me that I can like games in the genres that I don't like. Because like once again, Dust is a Metroidvania. Strider 2014 was a Metroidvania, and that I bought that game for $10 on launch. That game was sad. Like looking back on it now it's like, wow, they sent it out to die.
Right.
Uh, but yeah, that's also why I play as many like games out of my comfort zone as I do, because like y'all know what you like, and you kind of get stick to it, or at least that's the way that W puts it, which I don't know how true it is for you.
It's only kind of true. I'm a very different individual, though. I mean, when did I start playing Civilization 6? What podcast number was it I first mentioned that on? And then fast forward like 3-4 years later, and I'm still playing Civ 6 like almost religiously. Like, I'm a very different individual than most people. I find like a small number of things I'm interested in and play them to death. And rarely do I ever get tired of it. But you know, my brain is just wired differently. I'm not ordinary.
Yeah. I mean, neither am I, Pink. W's the closest we have to ordinary, and he's not here yet.
That is true.
So-
That makes him extraordinary.
Yeah. But yeah, like that to me is why I play like racing games or whatever, because fuck it, maybe I'll enjoy this one. And sometimes I do. Like I liked Flat Out 4. Everyone hated Flat Out 4. I liked it. It wasn't as good as 2. Don't get me wrong, but Flat Out 4 was all right. They tried to do 2 again. They failed, but the effort is there. I can see it. And then like this thing for me of like just playing whatever the fuck and trying to see whether it's doing a good job or what it's trying to be comes in handy with the reviews. And the reviews have fueled it since then, because now I need a database of comparison.
Right.
But it's always been a thing of like, I can't afford a lot of games. I can't really like, I can't choose to not play Call of Duty World at War because it's what we have.
Yeah.
Like just because I don't care about military shooters doesn't mean that I have to like I get to play something else, because like it's either that or whatever game I've already played for 100 hours. And sometimes you want to play the game you've played for 100 hours. Sometimes you really just don't.
Yeah.
And I have yet to get out of the really just don't part of just like Ubisoft style open world games. Then moving on. In a similar note, I finished Sly 2. It was fine. It did a good job. I honestly don't remember a lot of it. But then I moved on to Sly 3. And yeah, like I finished Sly 2 after finishing Psychonauts, because it made me look at Sly 2 in a different way. Sly 3 is Sly 3 is Sly 2 but more. Which, if you like Sly 2, that's good. I don't know if I'd say that I liked Sly 2 at this point, because technically I liked it. I enjoyed some of my time with it. At the same time, there's this like what can I really call it? Like this numbness to it that I have, which is in part because the Sly games, I guess, contributed to the gameplay design and the level design and just overall the design, the video game design of what would eventually become Assassin's Creed.
Nice.
And I cannot play it like I cannot play any more classic Assassin's Creed at the moment. I've tried many times, and unless it's a recording, I cannot play it. If it's a recording, I can make my mind wander off enough, but when it's not on recording, then I'm like if I'm doing something else, like if I'm listening to like music or whatever, then why am I playing the game? If I try to play the game on its own merits, it doesn't hold my attention.
I see.
I'm running into the same problem with Sly 3, because it's too familiar. It's like I think I said this about Sly 2 last time that I talked about it, but like this thing of like Sly 2 influenced Assassin's Creed, which then influenced Sucker Punch to make Ghost of Tsushima on the bones of Sly.
Yeah.
Is really funny, because there's so many things that you can just feel are the same or very similar. And like you'd imagine that, or you'd assume that since I liked classic Assassin's Creed, then I would like Sly, because It's classic Assassin's Creed before classic Assassin's Creed, but I've been burnt out on classic Assassin's Creed for the past like 4 years, I guess now, if not more. I don't know what I'm supposed to do anymore to get out of the burnout. Because whenever I try to play it just on its own merits, it doesn't. Now, Slide 3 though does try to do things. It Slide 2 introduced Murray and Bentley, who are the two sidekicks in one. Introduced them as playable characters. In Slide 3, you get more playable characters, even more of them. That's cool.
Yeah.
The way that they shake up the gameplay is nice. That's pretty much all I can really say about it. It removes collectathon elements. Weirdly enough, like once again, in the streamline of Super Mario 64 to Assassin's fucking Creed, Sly is the middle ground. Sly 1 is a collectathon. That is like it's like Super Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, Crash Bandicoot, Sly Cooper, because I guess he got very close. Assassin's Creed. Because like Sly 1 was a very weird mixture of Mario and Crash Bandicoot in the way that they did the whole hub world, but not really collected level stuff. And also it was a collectathon still, but sorta. Like it already reduced the amount of collectibles that you have to get compared to contemporaries, especially like the older ones. Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah.
And then Slide 2 reduced the amount of collected collectibles even more so. And then in Slide 3, I have yet to see a collectible. It's all 3D action platforming, fucking open world parkour. Like it's Sly 3 is as close as you can get to Assassin's Creed before Assassin's Creed, I'm pretty sure. And it's amazing. Just how close they got with Sucker Punch. Which I mean that I guess that also shows in Infamous, which I believe you've played Infamous, but not Sly, right?
I've played Infamous and Infamous 2, but not Sly.
But yeah, like it's funny because I remember when I played through Infamous, I remember saying that a lot of the world design is like Ubisoft, and I guess technically no, a lot of the world design is Sly, which Ubisoft then copied.
Unbelievable.
So, like just the sheer amount of interactability with the world around you, there's some of the ways that you can interact with the world, all of them, like there's a lot of analogs that you can put between Sly Cooper to then Sly Cooper branching off into Infamous being actually made by the Sly Cooper people and Assassin's Creed being made by Ubisoft. And this shit makes like these are the tangents that I would love to have on like a review. Because this is the like and I forget, I think that's the office the meme of the guy with the whiteboard and the pins, the red pins.
Yeah.
But like this is that moment of game design where if you've played enough video games, you just start seeing through the fucking code and just being like, hey, I know where this came from. This came from that, and then that came from this. This inspired that, and then oh shit, everything's connected. I'm falling through the matrix. Help! Mario is to blame. He made Assassin's Creed suck.
This is all his fault. Put him in jail.
But yeah. But like the eerie closeness of how want to get like I have no real words to describe this. Like this is a thing where like if I wanted to write this in a script, it would take me like 3 days to find the right words, probably. But yeah, like just how close they got it to what would eventually become a classic Assassin's Creed. makes it so I don't feel like I enjoy it as much because the first Sly showed some of this. It had, the fun level design that 2 lacked, in my opinion. Like the 2 was fun in its own way, but 2 was a lot more like functional and storytelling level design as opposed to platforming level design.
Yeah.
If that makes sense
Yeah.
to you. But yeah, you could see parts of this in one, but one was a lot of like one had a lot more running on mission design where you go into somewhere and your mission is, all right, reach the place. Once you've reached this place, then we tell you what the actual objective is. The objective is to steal this thing. Okay, go and steal that thing. You go steal that thing and then we leave. And then all of this was done in like 15 minutes tops.
I see.
With Slide 2 and 3, they tried to go a lot more narrative, a lot more. They're not really cinematic. I don't think that's the right word, but yeah, they tried to focus a lot more on the narrative. And if you ask me, that's to the detriment of the game because it makes it so all of the parts that I just told you, where they tell you where to go and then you go there and they tell you that's actually not where you're supposed to be. You're supposed to go get the other MacGuffin, and then all of those bits, every piece is 15 minutes. It makes the pacing, like I noted this because I believe when I brought this up, it was like Survivor Series or whatever that day.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole pacing of the game to me is off because the gameplay is jumpy, fast, action platformer with a heavy focus on stealth, and then the way that the missions are designed is more akin to a modern open world sandbox mission where it's like, okay, you need to go and do this. That's gonna take you 20 minutes. Then if you get there, you go here. That's gonna take you 15 minutes, and then we have another cutscene after that. That's gonna take another 4 minutes.
Ugh.
And that's one mission.
Goodness.
Yeah, and what's even worse to me is that they retained the mission structure of 2, where you have one mission to establish where you are, and then they have 3 sets of 3 missions, which is 9 missions to actually reach your objective, and then you might also still have another boss mission, so that's 10 missions, and all of them are paced like this. Like, well, not all of them. That's unfair to say, but most of them are paced like this, where it's like, all right, you're gonna be spending the next hour doing this one mission.
Why?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like once again, to the people who grew up with this stuff, that might not sound bad. And overall, like honestly, I don't know what it is that I don't like in it. But to me, that just makes the game not as fun because I guess I don't get to do as much jumping around.
Yeah.
It also doesn't help that the port of the game is bad, and you only get to play the PS3 port, which once again is bad.
No.
Yeah. And also, subtitles only exist sometime.
Well, that's not good.
And have spelling mistakes in places. But yeah, like subtitles are not an option. Depending on which cutscene you're watching, they're either on or off.
Wow.
Yeah. And like I'll keep saying, I want Sucker Punch. Once 2 Ghost Tsushima comes out, because they're obviously working on that, I want Sucker Punch to just take the first 3 games, remake them on like fucking Unreal Engine or whatever, Resident Evil Engine. I don't care. Do it on something. Remake these games, subtitles. Reevaluate your mission structure, please. Just add some quality of life and better graphics, and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's also once again a problem of like in the first game, all of the characters seemed, like all of the enemies. I mean, like all of the antagonists that you face, because it's a The first game is framed like a no, all three of the games are framed like a Saturday morning cartoon of like the monster of the week, whatever. You're fighting this guy this week, in this episode, this guy's the antagonist, that sort of thing. And all of the guys in the first one feel a bit more memorable to me, but it might just be because in those settings they were all like wired up to speak to the people, so that was more characterization for you, and then you spent less time on them, and that somehow you spent less time getting to them. So that might have made them more memorable, because like I barely remember the guy that I beat in the first part of Sly 3, and I just beat him like yesterday. Because I've already done like three missions that took me an hour since then.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yes, Sly was good. I really liked Sly 1. Then, I started playing Ahead in Time.
What is that?
Think, are you aware of Ahead in
No.
Time? Ahead in Time is in the Super Mario Sunshine,
Are you sure?
but without flood.
Oh.
It's it's a like people say it's closer to Super Mario 64. I disagree. It's a mix. It's a between the two. I'd say, where the overall mechanics are closer to, I guess, 64 or their own things or other non Super Mario 3D platformers, but also the movement and the way you interact with the world feels a lot more like Sunshine looks, because I never played it, because I don't own a GameCube. I never did. Like, it's one of those things where like you look at the animation of something, and you can tell that it's distinct enough that they won't get sued, but you still look at it and go, oh, that's the animation from this game.
Yeah.
And like the jumping on wires is especially Super Mario Sunshine. Like it works pretty much the same way that from what I saw Sunshine did, and looks a lot similar too. Like it looks very similar. Like big in Sunshine. If you jump on a wire, it takes like a spring, right? Where like the more you jump on it, the higher you go. Yeah, that's how it works in Time too. And wires didn't exist in Mario 64 because they couldn't be invented yet. So that's solved, I guess. But yeah, Night in Time is very good. I don't like collectathons. I like this one. That's. Do you need any more recommendations?
Not really.
But yeah, the game doesn't seem too long. I'm already close to finishing it, I'm pretty sure, because there's only 2 other doors that are locked by stars. They're technically not stars, but they're close enough. You'll understand. Every level or whatever, like every painting is its own little like story that you get yourself into. That's neat. I don't really know what else to say, because it's a good game. You would enjoy it, I think.
All right.
Because like you like Mario Sunshine, I know this. Did you like Mario 64? Hmm. You should still look
I would
into the
assume a
whether or
Hat
not
in
it's on
Time would
Game
be better
Pass.
than Mario 64, because I don't like Mario 64 because it's got clunky, outdated controls. It doesn't feel nice to play.
Oh yeah. The Hat in Time, the character feels nice to control. They did one misstep. There's only one thing that I can complain about with this game. Like it too.
Oh no.
Yeah. Of all of the things, like it too. But yeah, otherwise, just jumping around and moving about it feels really good. It feels a lot better than Mario 64 in my opinion. So yeah,
All right.
if it's on Game Pass or whatever, then you should still look into it.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And then let's see. Obviously, Street Fighter 6, but we talked about that one already. Well, I got further into Crime and Punishment. Have you read Crime and Punishment, Pink?
No, I don't even know who wrote Crime and Punishment.
Dostoevsky.
Oh,
Alright, do you intend on ever reading Crime
probably
and
not.
Punishment? Okay, then I'm fine spoiling this, like, maybe probably a 100-year-old book right now.
Yeah.
The Crime and Punishment. I have reached a chapter 3 in part 3. Something like that. No, chapter 1 in part 3. I initially, when I read up on it, people said, "Oh, it's 6 chapters." No, it's 6 acts. there's a difference. Yeah, it's 6 acts of well, probably, I don't know. I didn't check if it's actually 6 acts, but considering I'm in Act 3, it cannot and both of the previous acts had 6 chapters. I would assume that it is not 6 chapters.
Yeah.
But yeah, so far, the guy did the crime. Which, do you even know, like, spark notes or whatever?
No. I
Okay,
know
crime and punishment.
Dostoevsky, but I'm not familiar with Crime and Punishment.
Dude murders his prom broker,
Mm,
and then hilarity ensues.
I like.
But yeah, I went into the book with about as much knowledge as you just now. Of like, well, I've heard of Dostoevsky, I've heard of Crime and Punishment. I'll read Crime and Punishment.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, I don't know if it's mimicking the original text, because I'm reading this in English. I'm reading an old English translation, which, like, if you want to know how old it is, they write tomorrow as 2-borrow,
Oh no.
and today as 2-day.
Oh no.
That old. Which, just whenever I'm reading them and they talk about that, like, I'm imagining they pronounce it with today. So yeah. Either which way, whoever is. Oh, hey. Hey, Namya.
Hello?
Hello.
My audio wasn't turned on when I came in. Sorry about that.
Ah.
Yeah, just when I was ready to get on, I was notified that I needed to go eat something, so
Ah.
I assume I missed the podcast?
No. I'm talking about Crime and Punishment right now.
Oh, all right.
So I have reached Act 3, which apparently there are 6 acts, maybe, because when I read up just the length, it said that there were 6 chapters, but that's a lie, because the Act 1 had 6 chapters, and then Act 2 began. So
What if you're not supposed to read past the first act? What if it's all a joke? A prank?
yeah, you're you're not supposed to read up past Act 1. You're supposed to go out on a cliffhanger and then just never buy the second bit, I guess.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't know if it's a particularity with Dostoevsky or whoever translated this. Which, by the way, I just got done telling Pink how old the translation that I'm reading is. I'm reading it in English, and they're still writing tomorrow and today as 2-borrow and 2-day.
Eh. That's a good sign, though, when the translation is at least that recent, because that time period English is still fairly easily relatable to our modern English. The trouble is when
Yeah,
they ask you to read Shakespeare or Chaucer, and they go with the 500-year-old or 800-year-old version of English. and you are supposed to decipher the ye old fucking English.
Oh yeah.
Which for Shakespeare, like, it's troublesome, but as it's been said before, Shakespeare invented a lot of our modern English. So a lot of it just comes down to
Yeah.
the fact that Shakespeare tends to speak in metaphors a lot that aren't used so much anymore. But Chaucer is fucking impossible to read.
I might have to look into them. Just as a curiosity.
Oh boy.
But yeah, like the linguistical bit is very interesting because there's multiple bits in the book where they use the proper modern way to use like past tense, and then they use the wrong one. Because, like, for example, the word wake. There was at least 3 times in the books thus far where they've used woke, as in woke up. Every other time since then, which by the way, they use wake up a lot, or like have waken up, or whatever. Like, you know, the wake up in the past tense. They use that sentence a lot in this book. And every single time, like, no, not every single time, but most of the time, it's waked up, waked up. Every time I see it, I'm like, who? Language.
Who did this? Why?
Yeah. And there's other things like that. Like, I saw the actual proper way that you were supposed to write down gaily. This is the first book that I saw that actually used the term gaily. So hey.
What was done gaily?
They said that this random Russian woman wasn't known to waltz about gaily.
I see.
But yeah, I don't know if it's a translation or if it's Dostoevsky. Whoever it is has a fucking penchant for writing about, like, describing just normal everyday things and making them sound like eldritch horrors, which fits the book, but still, like they're writing about the wallpaper on the wall, and you think it's gonna summon Cthulhu.
Why do you think it won't?
Yeah, that's true. It is Russia.
I'm
But
not
yeah,
been to Russia, but from what I hear,
neither have I. But I'm closer, so I can't make jokes.
that's true. Well, you might be able to start making jokes soon.
Is there some development that I'm not aware of?
There is apparently a military mutiny starting last night.
Ooh.
The Russian military that has not been deployed to Ukraine is got a convoy going 200 miles outside of Moscow that is marching on the capital. Putin has ordered the military that is deployed to Ukraine to come back and defend the capital.
So if the mutiny succeeds, are they gonna steer Russia away from like Europe or something?
That's a good question. I mean, there's always the possibility of frying pan into the fire. Well, no, Putin is the fire. It's highly unlikely anything could be worse than Putin, but
from fire to hell. But yeah, like, I don't mean it metaphorically. I meant it as a joke on like how mutinies are usually done on ships.
Yeah, that would be.
they're just... Yeah.
Russia has announced a new focus on whaling.
All 4 whales in the world still existing or very scared.
As they should be.
So yeah. The book does a very good job of setting stuff up. I don't like it. Now that you joined, I don't know how much I can spoil. Which, like, you know, I wasn't intending on spoiling like big, whatchamacallit, like plot developments, but I feel like the characterization of the characters matters more than the plot developments. Because a lot of the book isn't about what happens. A lot of the book is about how do people feel, how do people respond to this. Why does this guy respond to this that way? And let's talk about why the drapes are blue.
Yes.
And this book does a really good job of portraying a person who has been pushed to. And this is not a. I'm talking to myself right now, but yeah, like, I don't think this is a spoiler because it's technically talked about in the half of this you figure out yourself in the first act, and half of it is actually like literally pointed out in the first, like I don't know, like first 50 pages or something like that. So I don't think that's a spoiler.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the book thus far has really portrayed well a person who has been pushed into paranoia and uh just basically madness out of poverty. Like a lot of the book can be summarized. Like, a lot of the book that I have read thus far, which I am roughly halfway there according to numbers.
Numbers.
But who knows? Yeah,
I don't trust numbers. Why would you trust numbers?
I don't.
See, goddamn right.
But yeah, like I don't know if Rodia is supposed to be relatable. He is.
I mean, I think part of what made Dostoevsky's efforts special in his time was that he was the first to handle criminals as human beings and not some variety of degenerate with a black mark of sin upon their souls.
And that's the thing, though. A lot of the book is about this inner turmoil of Rodia seeing himself as deplorable, and why he thinks he's deplorable. But what made him think that he was deplorable before he became a criminal. Why he became a criminal. They even bring up one of the arguments in the book is this rich guy walking in on the room with the main character and two of his friends. And the friends get into an argument with the rich guy about capitalism. And the argument ends with the main character just going capitalism might make someone kill people. And that's
Boys,
it's like
with my week.
What? Oh yeah. You killed Elon Musk?
No, but I was
in
able
Minecraft?
to set up Zuckerberg killing him.
Ah.
In front of a live paying audience, which makes it kicker there.
I mean, finally we get to find out who's stronger, lizard man or robots.
Yeah.
So yeah, although that being said, I'm actually I actually forget which one's supposed to be the lizard man and which one's supposed to be the robot at this point.
Zuckerberg is usually considered a lizard man because in that one legal trial, he looked fucking weird.
Okay, yeah, that's what I figured. But yeah, like the book talks about things in a very interesting way. It has some cliches that I'm not sure how much they hold up, but at the same time, it's also very old, and it probably wasn't cliches when it did them.
Yeah.
Like there's some parts of the book where you hear the things that it portrays back from like criminal documentaries where then I was just gonna say it, but I try not to spoil the book. But yeah, like there's parts that the book portrays where it's like I don't know how realistic that is. That being said, I'm also not a criminal, so. But yeah, it's a very interesting book so far. It's it shows the bads of every side. I'd say like it's I said that it brings up a thing against capitalism, but like it brings up that one argument against capitalism. The entire rest of the book is kind of like communism sucks, yo. Like it's.
I mean, I'm sure Marx was
Yeah.
already around by that time, but was communism really even thought of as a thing back then?
I don't know, but whatever the fuck the governing body was doing was just thought of was bad, or at least no, thought of was bad is the best the best is a bad way to put it. But they portray the living conditions that communism brings about.
Yeah.
Because like they talk about shit, and I go, yeah, I've heard about this. I haven't lived in it, thank God, but I know that this existed.
Yeah.
And like I never lived in communism. Once again, thank God. I've heard about the shit that like happened over here during communism, and like the ghetto that I live in today, the slums that exist today in Hungary, in comparison to the slums that were in Hungary during the Soviet power and all that, during communism stuff. I don't want to know what the slums were in St. Petersburg.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy to think about. Like, Hungary was in bad shape under communism, but Hungary was one of the countries that did better under communism.
Yeah, because we had like maybe two leaders during communism who just kind of ignored communism.
Like, I mean, there's not really been any point in history where the Balkans were a desirable place to live, but fuck.
Yeah. Like one of the places that you visit in the book is this little apartment, which by the way everyone lives in flats, which I can relate.
Yeah.
You know, I have a much clearer view of what the book is talking about than you do. But yeah, like imagine this: a family of 5, I think, family of 5 living in a walkthrough room because that's all they can afford in a flat.
Yeah.
And like, I don't. How do people live? Which like badly. I'm aware that badly, but still, it's one of those things where like I am uh compared to everyone else, like to contemporary people that probably will listen to this podcast and whatever. Chances are I'm probably less privileged than most people. At the same time, fuck. I'm privileged enough to not know what it's like to live in one room with 8 people, and also your house is just a regular thing, like it's just a regular room that people walk through.
Yeah.
You know?
A complete lack of privacy of any kind.
Yeah, and also like a complete lack of consideration for you when even in other things, because like one of the people in the house is that has tuberculosis. Also, the room is, and every time that the room comes up, it is described as filled with smoke from the other rooms around it.
Because everybody
So
back then smoked like a fucking chimney.
yeah,
Oh boy.
so yeah, like there's the book has been interesting. I don't know if I'd say like it's not the most interesting read in the sense that it like not happens, but it's not an action book. It's a character study. You're supposed to think about why these characters think and how these characters think, and why did that guy do that. In one of the parts of the book, I will not point out bits, but Rodya, who is the protagonist, has a Joker moment.
Oh lord.
How many years was this before the Joker was written? Like any version of the Joker.
Let's see. Well, hang on. This would have been what, 1870s, 1880s?
I don't know. Not from memory at least.
Oh boy. Hang on. Let me pull it up on my phone here. As soon as my phone decides to wake up. Crime and Punishment was 1866. The Joker would have been first written in either 39 or 40. So that's about an 80-year difference.
All right, so he had a full-on Joker moment 80 years before the Joker existed at all.
And to throw on top of that, the initial variation of the Joker during World War II was not a like funny haha clown, haha I'm sadistic, haha the world is a fuck, kill all cops. That Joker was actually just like a dead serious mobster, and the character was called the Joker because he was unpredictable.
Ah,
And I believe the very first episode, the very first issue where Joker appears, not only does he not make any jokes, but Batman at one point makes a point of saying, you know, it's a good thing you're looking like a clown because I'm laughing at you. And the Joker's like, no, I don't like it.
Batman has exposed my boner.
I'll show everyone my boner.
But yeah, like that, he just has a full-on Batman moment. Yeah, really good detective. No, this is has a full-on Joker moment in the book, and it's like the book isn't as much like, you know, things happen a lot and whatever, as much as it's what the fuck are these people gonna do? Everyone's fucked up some way. It's great. Like it's this is what NetherRealm wish it could write. Like Injustice wishes it was Crime and Punishment, which it probably does. I mean, Crime and Punishment is a pretty good book thus far.
Yeah.
But, you know, world renowned for a reason, probably.
To my understanding, Crime and Punishment is one of those things that crime procedurals for the remaining 200 years afterwards have been trying to imitate.
But yeah, like what can I really say without spoiler stuff? You know, it's an interesting view into time memorial of how people thought and stuff like that, and how things change and how they stay the same.
Yeah.
And also on top of that, you also get an interesting character study or whatever. Like you get to do an interesting character study on the protagonist and how fucked up not just he is, but his surroundings are.
Yeah.
And I guess also why fucked up he is and his surroundings are.
Yeah.
So yeah. If you have a spare month to read it, I'll recommend it.
I definitely didn't get around to it.
I mean, it hasn't taken me that long. It's only been a week that I've actually started reading it, and I'm already at Act 3 of allegedly 6. So if you read fairly fast like I do, then technically it should be done in 2 weeks.
All right.
So yeah, that's all I've done.
All right. Let's see. For my week, actually, first I should be hitting what's coming out on my channel. So expect the pattern of the last couple weeks to continue of alternating day in, day out, either Street Fighter or Gladius. I definitely intend to record some alternate stuff if I get the opportunity. But there's also been a lot of stuff thrown at me recently, or stuff that I've picked up recently that I'll be engaging in for free time. Other than Gladius and Street Fighter, and Gladius and Street Fighter are both really easy to just pop in and record. But expect this week probably some Street Fighter ranked play. Like I said, I don't want to go back to World Tour. I've been playing through World Tour on my own because it's hell to record. I don't like it. So, and the combo trials which I've been going through kind of got thrown out of whack by the fact that DJ had a combo trial that I recorded and I could not beat because I'm too white to understand his music. And Honda, I recorded 3 hours of me failing at his final trial, and only afterwards figured out that at some point in the recording, the audio got screwed up and probably started recording my input through the PlayStation 5 controller rather than my actual microphone. So maybe I'll go back and fix either one of those. First, I'll have to actually look up a guide on how to memorize the rhythm of DJ's Music Super. Either which way. So expect more ranked play, possibly with characters other than Zangief. Zangief's the comfortable one to go with, but I really should be learning other characters. And expect on the Gladius side more Adeptus Sororitas, or Sisters of Battle. I always call them sisters because that's what they were called back in the day, but nowadays they're called the Adeptus Sororitas because that can actually be copyrighted. So, Pink. Oh, is Pink alive or is he dead? Addy, are you alive?
Yeah.
Okay, so Pink is dead. Okay. Well, I suppose I won't go into detail then for Pink's sake. I wanted to go into detail for Pink's sake because I knew you wanted to pick up the Adeptus Sororitas, but all right.
No.
Oh, okay. So the Adeptus Sororitas are built to be similar to the Space Marines. They get one city. Their first city is like a full, proper city that can expand out to 3 tiles. But they do not get the Fortress of Redemption mechanic the Space Marines do. Instead, they get the ability to settle more cities, but they only can expand out 1 tile instead of 3 tiles.
Right.
This is that naturally is a bit. It can be a bit worse or a bit better because you don't get to do that thing in the late game the Space Marines get to do, where there are fortresses of redemption all over the goddamn map, and the Space Marines are getting 20%, 40%, 60%, 80%, 100% boosts to all output in their one super city. The sisters don't get that.
Yeah.
But because they can establish more cities, they can establish, let's say, more infantry buildings, more vehicle buildings, and so they can put units out faster than Space Marines.
Yeah.
So they're going to have a bit more trouble with late game economy because every city you make is still going to cause a loyalty debuff to all of your cities. But it's different priorities. But I had heard the sisters were the strongest race, that they were a little bit OP. And they're the most recent DLC race, so that's not a super shock. Of course, they're going to be the least balanced. They're the one that's seen the least play. But I had before only got about 40 turns or so into a Sisters campaign, and I didn't understand why people were saying that they are OP. Well, first reason is they get access to one superhero unit called the Saint Celestine, who is an actual angel. I mean, she's wearing Golden Sisters of Battle armor, but she's an actual angel. She's the good equivalent of a greater demon, which in Warhammer means serious shit. You remember the big... Okay, you guys have both definitely seen the Great Unclean One, right? The big, fat Nurgle demon that's like a giant, and he has his guts spilling out, and he's got horns.
You've probably shown it to me in the past.
The Saint Celestine is like a good guy's equivalent of that. She heals rapidly, she can fly, she does loads of damage, and you can just stack more items on her from the shops, and she gets just nuts. And what makes it worse is around the same time you're getting her from the research tree, you also get the ability to spend 10 influence, which is a paltry amount of influence to spend, on a prayer. Every turn you can pick one prayer and you can pray. These apparently are all very good boosts, but one boost in particular, one prayer, is heals all units in your entire army anywhere for 2 HP. The Necrons need to spend 10 influence to heal one dude. Admittedly, they heal him quite a bit more, but they have to spend 10 influence to heal one dude. The sisters can spend 10 influence to heal their entire army.
That's pretty good.
It's very good. I have found that out, and it has very abruptly turned things around. Because in that Gladius playthrough, I ran up against the Necrons as the first enemy, and I went, oh no, I hate running up against the Necrons on my first playthrough with any race. That sucks. and then I figured the healing shit out, and it became an unstoppable wall of heavily armored nuns that are regenerating like fucking Wolverine.
Nice.
So there's the Adeptus Sororitas for you. Let's see. For my week, I have been putting in quite a bit of time. Let's see. For one thing, Street Fighter 6 World Tour. I am getting close to. I don't know if I'm okay. Addy, what is the amount of different? What's the distance in time from when you get JP as a master to when you beat the actual campaign?
I unlocked JP after I beat the campaign, so
Okay,
About
that
5
makes
miles,
He's a
Alex.
visible
5
one.
miles.
so. So I'm getting pretty close, I
Was
think, to the end. And
what's the last story mission you did?
let's see. I literally just, while listening to you talk about Crime and Punishment, I went and unlocked the ability to switch to nighttime in Nashal. And I'm currently, as we speak, fighting Jury to unlock her as a master.
All right. Well, that's not a story mission. That's a side
I'm
mission.
aware.
But yeah. You get into the end game once you unlock the ability to go up the mountain.
Oh, well, the mountain with all the monks up there?
I
Oh, no, wait, you mean actually
no
up the
above that.
mountain where before the cop would say, like, there's bullshit going up on the mountain there. Hey,
Yeah, the one with the donkeys.
monkeys.
Donkeys.
Oh, donkeys. Well, I've not gotten up
Yeah, what?
that far, but I have heard that the best grinding spot is up there. Which I did want to speak about that. I don't want to talk about World Tour too much. I believe we've already mentioned it quite a bit about it on recording before. But I did want to mention, boy, it is like night and day the difference between grinding up each of the characters' styles in World Tour versus just going and dropping a load of gifts on them to immediately get their costume.
Yeah, I mean, technically, if you wanna grind style points, you can max out someone and then grind their points, and then give those points to someone else.
Isn't that less
But
efficient though?
yeah, well, that depends. Like technically yes, but it also like how many blancos do you see an hour? You know.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's definitely part of the issue is that the best way to make the experience, the XP, is by fighting others using that style. But the overwhelming majority users of that style are Dalsim or Luke. You know, especially because the high level in game zone is Nashal, which is obviously supposed to be in South Asia. So of course there's a lot of dudes using Dalsim's style. Why wouldn't there be?
Yeah.
But nonetheless, yeah, I've been going through and getting the bonds of a variety of characters up. And as soon as I get JP, I will be putting his bond up and getting everybody's costumes. And then I'll be wrapping World Tour up and I can focus on playing the fighting game for proper. Nonetheless, let's see. The other thing that I did this week, I skipped out on SmackDown because honestly, I just wasn't figuring that it sounded like an interesting episode of SmackDown. So instead, the last couple days, we started on my birthday on Thursday, and we continued it last night. We have been watching The Wire.
With
Now,
Michael B.
do you guys
Jordan?
know what The Wire is?
No, I've never seen an episode in my life.
Well, that I definitely expected. I definitely expected neither of you to have watched an episode. I wasn't expecting either of you to just suddenly be like, well, Alex, I've been lying to you all these years. I'm actually a tremendous television drama fiend.
Yeah. I feel like I remember them advertising The Wire on one of the whatchamacallit, one of the TV stations back when I used to watch TV, and I went, it doesn't seem like my thing.
So, I would say it's neither of you guys' thing. So The Wire is considered possibly one of the greatest TV shows of all time. It is one of the first HBO shows that made HBO be associated as the channel for great TV dramas in an hour-long format, and looking like the Hollywood style.
Is that what we think about HBO?
It came around the same time as The Sopranos, Oz, and I believe Sex and the City, I think. Though obviously it's not as famous as Sopranos or Sex and the City. Nonetheless, The Wire is the show. Muda and Ted both talked a lot about it, which raised my interest.
Yeah.
So The Wire's whole gimmick is, it is I guess you could call it a police procedural, but ordinarily I'm not into police procedurals. That's my mom's thing, right?
Sure.
And I take you guys don't sympathize?
I love police procedure.
Pink, do you have the only mom
I-
in the United States of America who doesn't watch Law and Order?
Yeah.
Damn. Nonetheless, no Criminal Minds, no
Yeah.
Law and Order, no NCIS.
Nope. I mean, I probably saw some CIS when it was on before Raw, but aside from that, no.
Oh, well, yeah.
See, like I watch CSI and like Bones and shit. When I still watch TV,
Yeah.
my mom doesn't watch shit. She doesn't have time.
Yeah.
If she does, she doesn't. She usually spends it on like actual movies instead of series, though.
Yeah.
So like my TV watching experience to other people is just like my sisters and my grandma watching telenovelas, and me watching Mythbusters and how it's made.
Whew.
Yeah.
Mythbusters, I remember being pretty great. We just never watched it enough. If we had the History no, it was on Discovery, wasn't it? Mythbusters was on Discovery.
Yeah, it was Discovery.
Damn it. Yeah, we didn't have Discovery
Yeah, like
much around here.
Yeah, the couple of TV shows that I liked a lot were Mythbusters, which, yeah, I mean, I still watch Adam Savage, which should tell you stuff. Now that he's become a YouTuber full time.
Yeah.
How it's made, because, of course, I mean, like, you know who I am.
Yes.
And then Brainiac with Richard Hammond was a show. It was like a lesser Mythbusters, but it had Richard Hammond, so it was fun, if not scientific. And then Top Gear, I liked. And I watched Top Gear explicitly just because of the cast, and I stopped watching Top Gear once they fired Jeremy for good reasons.
My understanding is that Jeremy has repeatedly, several times down the years, given loads of good reasons to fire him.
Jeremy is an ass, yes.
My sister's been into Top Gear at a few points. And of course, you guys also are aware of what my sister's attitudes are on a variety of things, so she can sometimes be a little bit biased. But to my understanding, he's some variety of classist and racist, and also just enjoys bullying people.
Not as far as I know. A bit of it, definitely. Like there's some truth to that, but not. I'm not sure about just the general bullying of people. He definitely had a bit of a classist tinge, which is why they fired him, because he threw a fit because his food wasn't prepared the right way.
Right.
And I think tried to punch staff. But
I don't believe he tried. I believe he did.
Even better. But yeah, I don't know if I'd call him racist any more than, you know, any other TV presenter around the time. Then again, at the same time, I also haven't seen a proper episode of like the Grand Tour, which is their new show. So he might be making those comments still. In which case, sure, I guess. And then, yeah, like, you know, it's one of those things where like the classist stuff is more behind the scenes, so I'm not sure how much I can believe that, and then the racist stuff, depending on when we're talking about, then it was kind of the norm. Sadly. I mean, are you gonna tell me that mid 2000s TV wasn't biased towards like racist comedy?
Oh, absolutely.
Like in favor of. Like that, you know, people recently brought up like G4 being racist or whatever, and sure, it was bad. Like the stuff that I heard wasn't good, but at the same time, It was the mid 2000s. Do you remember the mid 2000s?
Oh yeah, I know specifically what you're
Like-
talking about with the whole G4 freakout thing. And specifically, I know what community you saw it in because I saw it in the same community. And that one in particular is that stuff is very racist. What they say. However, in that community, it's a little bit like, are you guys really gonna want to make this point? Because I can tell you, I have seen several videos where Pat says I guess you could say the R word for people who are mentally.
Yeah. I mean, isn't there still a recorded instance of Liam saying the N word?
I
Like-
can tell you, I've heard Pat say the N word.
I haven't.
He was repeating what Wooly had
Even-
said earlier, but nonetheless, I have definitely heard Pat say the N word.
The Liam one, I don't like. The Liam one is one of those things where like people say it and I believe it because it seems in character for like the time and place. At the same time, I don't remember that shit. So like as far as I know, I don't know.
On one hand, that would surprise me because Liam seemed a bit more careful than the others. On the other hand, Liam was clearly the one out of the four who was the one out of the other three who was closest to Wooly. So
Yeah.
I can see him also feeling like he's more got the pass, so to speak.
Yeah, I was about to say like he got scammed. He paid the price to Wooly for the pass.
Well, people aren't really that upset about it, so evidently he didn't get scammed. The pass worked exactly.
That's true. That's true. Oh, Pink, should we explain the joke to you?
I don't know.
One of the members of the Super
I
Best
guess-
Friends who we frequently joke about, the Wooly who I have put into Fire Pro because it's funny to have him in Fire Pro. He is a black man who finds racism hilarious. So he at one point joked about the idea of what if I started selling what, of course it's famous, the ghetto pass or the N-word pass, whatever you want to call it, right?
Right.
Which is the permission for a white man to say, the N-word. And Wooly at one point joked about setting up a business of selling in passes to white people.
And since then, the community around Wooly has made it so it's now a subscription service called the NPS Plus. Which I'm not sure if he's advocated for the NPS Plus, but it would be a better business decision.
It definitely sounds like a Wooly joke.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, how did we get to Jeremy Clarkson?
Discussing all
The Wire.
videos that you watched.
Yeah, like those are the ones that I remember. But yeah, continue The Wire.
Yes, so The Wire is generally a respected cop show because, at least in the first season, with every season they apparently add a new perspective. The first season more or less just focuses on the cop side and the gangster side. And both sides are generally presented with a fair mix of characters that you would kind of expect to see on either side. The cops, for instance, there's some cops who genuinely are working very hard to try and turn things around and make life better. And they want better things, not just for the victims, but for the criminals themselves. There's also some cops who are just psychopaths that enjoy beating people. There are some cops who are not like psychopaths, or well, they are kind of psychopaths, but they think of themselves as superheroes, and they think of police work as going out and handing beatings out to random people that they suspect. There are some cops who don't give a fuck about it, who's innocent or guilty. They just want to get promotions. And the bureaucratic structure is, of course, all fucked up. Similarly with gangsters, the gangsters they present like, okay, there are some gangsters who are, sympathetic young guys just trying to make a bit of money, sympathetic young guys who are just looking for a bit of respect. who just are like looking to get laid. There are some gangsters who are psychopaths, some gangsters who are bullies and use their position of power for hurting people, some gangsters who are backstabbers. And at the leadership, you've got a mixture of some guys who have some degree of like gangsters, thief's honor. And then you have some sociopathic scumbags who view crime entirely as a business with no laws or morals or anything, and every employee can be bought and sold at your leisure. It is very in depth. It does not hold back on using. The writer is an actual ex Baltimore cop, which is important because the show does not at all hold back on using insider terminology on either side. So you will frequently hear cops use terms that you've never heard before. And similarly on the gangster side, it's, early 2000s gangsters, late 90s gangsters. So it's a lot of slang that is very much out of fashion now and is a bit confusing. But it is I've been spoiled on most of it. So I understand what's going on ahead of time. The only problems I can see with the show are, for one thing, it requires dedicated attention to notice what's going on because the characters all use so much lingo and terminology that you need to actually stop and parse what the hell they're saying. But also, the show introduces a lot of characters with like every fucking episode. And there are characters who seem like they are just background goons when they first debut, but then the next episode they're actually super important. The characters are well written, though. I've only seen 4 episodes, and already several of the characters have lots of depth. It's very well acted. They keep a good balance between simultaneously making the position of both the cops and the gangsters feel kind of hopeless, that the cops are working against, for one thing, a political system that does not care about them, and also working against their own teammates who are idiots. And the gangsters also can feel a bit hopeless because it's like, how do I get out of this life? Should things really be this way? Why is it that when we deal drugs, why? Like at one point, the question is raised by one of the gangsters of like, so why is it that in our business we just kill people so much? Because you don't see the motherfuckers down at Walmart killing people over who gets to sell the best couch. But down here, we think it's perfectly acceptable to kill a motherfucker over this stuff. Why's it got to be this way? Other characters just shrug and they're like, it's that way. Deal with it.
Market share.
Fuck up, fucko. But yeah, it's all very well done, at least so far. And I'm having a good time watching it. Though I will say it is simultaneously very fast and very slow. Events are happening, but scenes can be a bit, I don't want to say drawn out because that makes it sound like they just leave the camera running, right?
Right.
Like that shit from
the wire was filmed in one long take.
No.
All of it.
Thankfully not. But they will have a long scene of 2 characters talking. And it establishes the setting, it establishes the characters. But if you're expecting a high speed, high impact, 24, this is a cop show where there's gunshots and explosions, no. So far, only one cop has fired his gun. He has fired it twice. One time was an accident, the other time was him being an idiot. So, let's see. Other than that, we did part of what reminded me to hit the wire, though, was that it features 2 major cast members, that have fairly recently passed away. One being Michael K. White and the other being Lance Reddick, who both do very good jobs. And it's all around a very solid cast. It's Idris Elba as like a fucking baby. Oh, no, speaking of babies, when I say baby Idris Elba, it's like kind of just like a fun way, but like he's clearly already in his 30s, so he's not really a baby. It's just like it's Idris Elba like 10 years before he was in Thor or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Michael B. Jordan is in the show, and he is actually like a baby. He is like maybe 14 years old at the most. And it is so bizarre seeing Michael B. Jordan acting in a show where he's like 14. also in a role where he is playing a drug dealer who is constantly saying fuck this and fuck that. And they do a pretty good job of playing around with how messed up it is to have a child drug dealer. There is a point where Michael B. Jordan, who is supposed to be, he's sitting at his corner and he's playing with a Transformer toy. And his boss sees him playing with a Transformer toy and throws a bottle at him and says, fucking tough up. Don't be playing with toys on the fucking corner. You're supposed to be dealing drugs, dipshit. It's got a lot of great little interactions like that just kind of highlight, like, wow, this is fucked.
Right.
And of course, any of the given times where two cops, and there's always the two screw-up cops that go and get drunk, and they're like, man, this is bullshit. We can't go in there and arrest them right now. Like, right, man. You know what? Fuck it. Let's go down in there and bust some heads right now. We'll find something. And then two drunk cops go wandering into the projects, and bad things happen.
Right.
And then you have the great thing where their commanding officer, the one played by Lance Reddick, who is one of the only people in the police bureaucracy who actually gives a shit and wants to help people, then gets reamed by his commanding officer saying, hey, why'd you send two cops into the projects at 2 a.m. at night to fucking crack skulls? And the captain can't say they got drunk and did it on their own, because then he's the asshole for snitching on his own guys. So he has to say, like, well, sir, I don't know what I was thinking, sir.
Yeah.
Aurora Borealis.
Yeah, no shit. Oh my god, there is one particularly bad scene for those two cops where they are trying to interrogate some 16-year-old guy, and one of them goes, all right, I'll be good cop. I'll go in there. I'll be good cop. You wait here. You can be bad cop afterwards. So he heads in there, and he says, all right, kid, you turn on your buddies for us. We can get you anything you want. And the guy leans in and says, anything? All right, come here. And they huddle their heads together, and he says to the cop, I want for you to suck my dick. So the cop then tackles the shit out of him and starts pummeling him in the fucking corner because he's just that much of an immature man-child. The guy who was supposed to be the bad cop comes in and starts trying to peel the guy who's supposed to be the good cop off the criminal. Going, hey, what the fuck? But then the criminal says, hey, fuck you too, man. And so the guy who's supposed to be bad cop also joins in beating him. And it's just like, oh, fuck me. This is a dire situation.
The good to bad cop ratio got a little bit skewed there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First there was a flip. Now it's just all red. What's happening?
The good to bad cop ratio was inflated by good cop Georg. We should not count him. That's still my favorite fucking coffee pasta, the Spider's Georg.
It's pretty great every time. Well, it's like he's called that because he apparently is known to eat loads of spiders.
Yeah.
There's the very first scene of the very first episode of The Wire is the main detective looking over a scene where a guy has been murdered. And he goes and sits next to another gentleman on the street. And he says, oh man, it's crazy how this shit could happen. And the gentleman on the street says, man, I can't believe Snot Boogie wasn't a cool guy, but why'd they have to kill him over it? And the main detective says, Snot Boogie? He was called Snot Boogie? The guy says, yeah. Well, why? Well, it was just called that. And the main detective looks around and he's like, so if I'm gonna bet here, some kid went up to somebody with a booger coming out of his nose, and rather than anybody handing him a tissue, they just decided to call him Snot Boogie for the rest of his life. And the other guy's like, yeah, that's how it is. And there's a metaphor there that if you didn't pick it up, congrats, but nonetheless, I thought that was pretty funny in terms of like, I've never been around a nicknamer, right?
Right.
But I don't get nicknamers, you know? Have any of you guys ever known a nicknamer?
Not that I'm aware.
My dad.
Oh.
Yeah, I've been called many things throughout my life. Least of all, son. I've been called daughter more, and that's not a joke.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Like, I think when I was like 14, my one local friend that I had was surprised by this, by how many nicknames he makes up for me. My dad does, and then we just counted all of the shit that he calls me, and none of them was son. I think I had like I want to say like 15 nicknames by that point.
Jesus.
This was nearly 10 years ago.
Imagine all the nicknames he's come up with at this point. That number could
Yeah.
have doubled by now.
Oh, good lord.
Also, I guess technically my sister, but she only does the nicknaming stuff for like animals, so at least
Oh,
I'm
I
safe
do
there
for
for the most part.
Because I will tell you, the small dog is half the time called Stinky.
Yeah. I mean, like it is that makes sense because animals tend to be stinky, but like my or dog the one that actually was ours went from like her actual name when we got her. She already had a name when we got her, and her name was pretty. Regardless, she was called Bilbo, like Bilbo Baggins. And similarly, yeah. And similarly, the dog that she got for my niece, the one that was here, Dago. My niece called him Tyson. Regardless, his name is Bobo now. So, yeah. Like when I was growing up, she gave me nicknames too, but she stopped when I was a teenager because yeah.
Kind of thing, but one that I could say is a nickname I've given to an animal that would not make sense unless you know what the breed of dog looks like. Have either of you guys seen what a Vizsla looks like?
Yes.
Oh well, yeah. Of course you've seen it. Okay, but pink.
I don't think I know what a Vizsla is.
Hang on, I'll drop a picture. I'll drop a GIF in the chat. Give me a second. Give me a second to grab a GIF. Oh yeah, that's pretty well his body language. There we go. So they're kind of like greyhounds or Weimaraners, but they're generally kind of like an orange copper color, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I get a real kick out of calling our Vizsla strange red horse alien. Because he does act like an alien. He's weird, and when he gets excited, he honestly like. Have you ever seen when a horse gets excited and the horse starts like stamping and like frolicking everywhere?
Yeah.
He does the same thing, exactly like a horse would.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is with animals behaving like other animals, which like it may just be that when animals are tamed, they get assigned.
They get assigned
like
their special traits and stats.
Yeah, but like we were for the cat, for example, the cat that we have, we like a lot of while she was growing up, we were a lot of times we were like, well, why is she acting like a dog? But we kind of just forgot about it because whatever, she started acting a bit more like a cat, and we just figured that that's just what she does. And then recently, when they were doing the windows,
She started barking at
the
repairman.
guy, what?
She started barking at the repairman.
No, but the repairman pointed out how much the cat is like, it's like a dog.
I think.
So I, yeah.
When you say that,
What?
what do you mean?
She's very like I don't even know how to exactly describe it. Like he pointed out that she doesn't run away, which I mean that's just that she got scared when she actually ran away. That is not a dog thing, but because she has run away twice. She didn't get out of the flat, like the actual like shared building. I mean,
yeah.
She kind of just stopped in the flat, so that was easy. but yeah, like otherwise she just like she doesn't claw, she bites, or she has a thing for walking next to people's legs, which I mean that isn't necessarily a dog thing, but like the amount that she does it, like it's very suspect. Also, she doesn't climb things.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Yeah,
Bless you.
Bless you.
I will say that I've known cats to always walk close to legs, but that's because they're trying to rub themselves on your legs and get their scent on you.
Yeah. Yeah, not this one, not necessarily. Like she does that too, but like you know the thing that like laptops do, I guess, where they'll follow you wherever you go and then just lie down next to you when you sit down or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does that.
Oh, my cat does that too.
Huh.
I think with cats, like, I can't speak so much for dogs, but for cats, I've seen wide differences in their behavior depending on how they were raised as kittens. Because I will say that kittens that I have adopted, who are probably past the 7 or 8 week mark, generally would behave a
Yeah.
bit more stereotypically cattish. This cat, though, we have had since she was a baby kitten. She was the daughter of the previous cat we had that we left in the care of a neighbor when we left Indiana. And when she was a little baby kitten, like, when we found out that the cat was pregnant, the decision was already made of we're keeping one of the kittens.
Yeah.
And the moment that the litter popped out and we saw one kitten in particular with that unique tortoise shell fur pattern, we decided that was the one we were going to keep. And we were very loving with all the kittens. And I'd frequently hold a bunch of them because I love cats and I love kittens. But having her since the very beginning and having always been very, always keeping her around and spending a lot of time holding her, she has come out with the attitude of generally not liking fighting, not liking hunting so much as other cats, and generally just being cuddly and kind of lazy, which has also wound up not paying off super well because she doesn't know how to handle bad situations, which the small dog that I was just earlier calling Stinky, he is a walking bad situation. So that has been one issue, is that she's almost too tame to the point where she can't defend herself. Her reaction to being attacked by a dog is to piss herself, then huddle up and cry.
Yeah, I actually have a picture for this. Give me a sec while I find it. But yeah, I guess it is how you raise them though. Cause like we don't know how to raise a cat. We've never been a pet household really, but we've raised more dogs than cats. I know personally how to raise like an alright like what should we call it, like a dog that will defend the house pretty much. And the cat was raised that way too, because whatever, that's what we know.
Yeah.
And it got to this point where like she kind of behaves like a dog, but at the same time when like bugs come in, she tries to hunt.
Yeah.
At least she has that going for her.
Does she start doing the clicking thing?
What clicking thing?
Some cats, when they're deep into hunting, will start making like a clicking noise.
Oh no! What she does is that she'll, if the thing she's hunting is out of reach for her, she'll sit down and then start meowing loudly to have someone go help her.
Oh, I think I've definitely noticed my cat doing that. Have you ever given the cat catnip?
No,
Okay.
I don't think they sell that over here.
Oh. You don't
I
sell
know
cat drugs over there?
yeah, because I looked into it when she was in heat. And then, you know, that shit hurts, and we don't have we don't then still haven't spayed her because whenever it comes up, my sister is just like, I'll get her spayed because it's her cat.
Yeah.
She's like, I'll get her spayed. She never gets spayed. But yeah. I looked into catnip when she was first in heat because it hurts, and turns out the way to get catnip is to take her to the vet. And at that point, she might as well get spayed.
Yeah.
Like, she's already there.
Do you have to get a prescription for catnip?
I guess so. But yeah, I guess this is your cat.
Give me a second. Give me a second.
Once it'll stand.
Pull open. Yeah. Well, see, it's almost like she's almost got like the same strategy as Squid does, right? Bad situation, quickly ink on them. Except instead of ink, my cat pisses. And so far, let me tell you, dogs famously big fans of when cats use the bathroom, so hasn't worked.
Yeah. I think this is my favorite new like meme format, the overly edgy picture with the wimpy caption.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of, like, I've shown you guys the video before of the Duke Nukem quotes, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going to make the tinkle hit the water this time.
How did we get to animals?
We got here from nicknaming from The Wire.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, I think that's about the extent of what I've got to say about The Wire. Let's see. Other than that, let's see. I hit Street Fighter. I hit The Wire. Oh, I've not been able to put a whole lot of time into it, but for my birthday, I got Dead Space Remake.
Nice.
And yeah, the first hour, which I have played, is quite good. They stick to accuracy with enemy placement for the most part, though there's one big change they made, I noticed. Dead Space 1, you really only run into like one or two instances of sleeping necromorphs, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
And in the first hour of Dead Space Remake, they made sure to throw in a few more sleeping necromorphs. And just to fuck with you, they threw in some necromorphs that are already dead.
Nice.
So, and another thing, they make sure not to give you the telekinesis item immediately, because that's the best item for checking if a necromorph's actually dead, right? Is to just pick up a random prop and throw it at them. They make sure you don't get that for a minute, so that if you want to check whether or not a necromorph's actually dead from a distance, you gotta waste a bullet and shoot it.
I don't even remember. What did I do when we were playing Dead Space 2 in those cases?
You were such a big fan of playing with dead bodies, I'm sure that you found a dead body nearby and used it.
Yeah. That's what I probably just ran over and stopped it.
You know, I would do that, except that the one time I tried that, it jumped up and uppercutted me, so.
Nice. Wake up, Shoryu.
Yeah, no actual wake. Yeah, I had another instance where I ran into one of the necromorphs that spits loogies at you, and I cut off his legs, and I was like, "Fine, awesome! I'm just gonna go stomp his head." And then he just launched himself off the ground and cut me in half.
Nice.
Like, well, shit. Apparently, that's not an option. Neither of you guys have played through Resident Evil 4. 4, I know, but have either of you guys seen footage of Resident Evil 4, the end part of the game?
Yes. Which version?
The original.
Yes.
Have you ever seen what happens when you cut off a regenerator's legs in that game?
No.
It becomes infinitely more frightening because it just, even if you cut off if you blow off all its arms and its legs, it will still like push off the ground with its head or its penis. I'm not sure which. I doubt it has a penis, but it'll push off the ground like just using its abs and its neck to fling itself from the ground on top of Leon and tackle him and just start gnawing on his neck without any limbs.
Ah. Nice.
Oh boy. Oh shit, that reminds me I am not ready for the regenerator in Dead Space 1. Oh fuck me.
There was a regenerator in Dead Space 1?
Yes. You played. Okay,
Why?
you remember in Dead Space 2, they throw a regenerating necromorph at you in the last 2 chapters that forces you to just run through the chapters. You can't stop and look.
Yes. Yes.
That variant is often called the Ubermorph. It has never been given an actual name by anyone in Dead Space because they never actually explained why the fuck that thing is there. Because the Regenerator Necromorph was supposed to be a unique monster in Dead Space 1 that was made deliberately by a scientist, a cultist trying to experiment with making a super Necromorph. And he was supposed to be the only one of his kind and special.
So is it just the Ubermorph or not?
It is exactly the Ubermorph, except he has a different skin texture.
Oh.
The Regenerator in Dead Space 1 has kind of the usual skin texture you'd expect of a Necromorph, where it's got the weird pink human flesh that's slightly necrotic. The Ubermorph has like the burnt up, kind of like, almost looks like he was built out of ashes merged together skin texture that some of the deadlier Necromorphs have. And the Regenerator specifically shows up in a few rooms in Dead Space 1, and eventually you permanently kill it. Dead Space 2, the Ubermorph is just there for the entirety of 2 chapters. It chases you relentlessly. There is no way to permanently kill it. The Ubermorph is like, I think I've said this before, that I think Dead Space 2 is broadly the better game between Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 1. But I do think that the last couple chapters of Dead Space 2 are really weak, whereas Dead Space 1 has much more even pacing. Because that entire last bit of Dead Space 2 where it just abruptly becomes a slapdash run and gets rid of the kind of deliberate pacing, I think is one of the big things that really hurts it. Yeah. Nonetheless.
I got distracted by me getting the glitch that you talked about last time. Pink is now P ...
Oh, yep, there you go. He is now P ... If you look around, you're going to see like GOG is now just T ...
That's not GOG. That's the Mayor of Awesome Town.
What's the difference?
Well, Mayor doesn't talk on the Discord and hasn't in 5 years.
For me, GOG got turned into T ellipsis. I guarantee you that it was GOG because he had GOG's avatar and was saying GOG things in the wrestling thread.
Oh, okay. Well, right now online is Mayor, and Mayor is also T ellipses. Osmar is A ellipses, as you said.
Yeah.
And Volcano is F ellipses, yeah.
And GOG has went from Tornado to T, hasn't he?
Yeah, and weirdly enough, these are the only people okay, I know the problem. I'm not sure what causes it, but I know the problem. I believe. Only people with a certain length of username had this happen to them.
That makes sense.
Now, the thing that makes it weird is that Brendan, his user hasn't become S, and Meth is also not just T ellipses.
Well, I'm willing to bet it is tied to the new username thing where they made everybody change their usernames to get rid of the tag system.
Possibly.
So it's probably a new bug. I nearly said something that would have been really dumb. Back in the day, there was a series of There's a series of Gary's Mod animations called the Gary's Mod Idiot Box. And they're mostly very immature and very bad. But every now and then they had a gag that stuck with me. And one of them is a gag where it shows the animator himself logging into his YouTube channel. And this would have been about 2009 or 2010. So this is ancient fucking history by modern standards. But he logs in and he gets the notification from YouTube that, you know, YouTube has got a new layout, right? Except he went in and he used Photoshop to edit out layout and instead made it where it says YouTube has a new ass fuck. And it stuck with me.
Yep, that's. Yeah.
It stuck with me every time that a company just introduces a seemingly arbitrary change like that. That in my head, I don't call it a new layout or a new feature. I call it a new ass fuck.
Yeah, I mean, in YouTube's case, whenever they do that, it fits. Also, you can do this fairly easily, but with the inspect element.
Yeah.
You don't even need to open a Photoshop. Just inspect element that shit.
See, I don't know that shit. I will say, the new YouTube change where they made it way more inconvenient to add things to your watch later is not great.
Oh, I love the new YouTube layout where I have to hover over a video and have half of it play while I figure out how to edit to a playlist or whatever.
Yeah.
And then when I open it up, it starts in the middle of it because I've already watched half of it technically without an audio.
Uh-huh.
And then also this stops working half of the time.
Yeah.
I also love how I have to like navigate 5 separate menus if I want to go to the YouTube studio and back.
Yeah. I see why they did this. It makes sense.
Yeah, I mean it's fine for me because I have the YouTube studio and the normal YouTube client or whatever, like my splash screen on YouTube. It's saved separately in Firefox, but also loading two YouTubes sucks ass because they're using like Web 8.0 JavaScript that is like, hey, let me use 80 gigs of RAM.
Yeah.
And we don't need this. We don't need that much RAM. Also, the new layout is less legible. I can't move these things around so I can actually read the full title of a video. I have to zoom out of YouTube, so the YouTube Studio is a web page for ants before I can actually read some of these titles that I make.
Yeah.
And that's not even my thing. Like they have it limited to 100 characters. It should be able to display 100 characters. Anyway.
Yeah. So I'm gonna
where were we?
Real quick. I'm playing through the Nashal tournament in Street Fighter 6, and the AI just throw looped me.
Yeah, they do that.
I was not ready.
Higher level AI is good at the game, surprisingly enough.
Inconceivable.
So that's why I'm always getting my ass beat.
I have heard JPAI is brutal.
Yes. I want to say I use all of my energy drinks, and 15 continues on JP.
So I'm gonna mention right now, I do have one major difference that has made this game's difficulty kind of a joke for me in World Tour, which is that I have trained just about to the max under both Zangief and Dhalsim. And do you know what that means, Addy?
It's zoning and SPDs, yes.
No, Yoga Teleport SPD.
Ah,
if
right.
I see the opponent throw out any moves with a lot of recovery, teleport SPD, eat shit.
Although my favorite feature of Yoga Teleport in this game, in World Tour specifically, is how you all have both backwards and forwards Yoga Teleport, but at the same time you can only use one. Yeah, you can only use one.
Yeah, I know, right? Which I guess on some level, like, it's not really that troublesome because it's like, okay, you're going to want away teleport if you're zoning and towards teleport if you're a rushdown character, but still, it is very funny, yeah.
Especially in the mid-air options, because like for mid-air options, you have everything on one input and then Yoga Teleport. Why are there three slots for air maneuvers when there's only 2 I can do?
Well, if you train with Lily, you can get a dive punch, a dive kick on 2 punches.
Ah, so that's why.
And of course, Geef's got his air SPD.
But yeah, like my air maneuvers in World Tour are just Jury's dive kick because it's better than Cammy's because it has a follow up baked in, and you will teleport forward because I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you finish the tournament, then I think that's it.
The one with the one being run by Punch. Yeah, like I'm doing the
Oh wait.
tournament in the Nashal Ghetto, not the one on the mountain.
Oh yeah, no. No, that's early into Nashal. You have two other tournaments after this. I think.
See. I thought I read that you could get JP as a master as soon as chapter 14, though, because I'm in chapter 12.
I'm not sure how fast you unlock him. I didn't read guides until I was like, But I read like the general things at the start, and then I read the actual mastery stuff once I was close to finishing the game out, and then JP I unlocked only after the finish line because the in JP they wrote down in the guide how you can fight everyone, and then JP was just like, he's somewhere, I guess.
I mean, I looked up a guide early on of like, okay, what are the best gifts for everyone? And it would have like Japanese sweets. Who is this best for? Question mark, question mark, question mark.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, let's see. What else did I do with my week? I didn't really do much else. Let's see. I did feel like doing some building and some crafting and some messing around. And I thought it'd be a fun game to pop in casually, even though I do think as a multiplayer game, it's more than a little bit rough. I picked up Conan Exiles while it was on sale. It's kind of a nice game to just do casually, just messing around.
Yeah, now you can live out all of your slave owning fantasies.
Oh yeah. You can become a slave owning cannibal and shit in that game.
Yeah.
And also just be hanging dong the entire time.
But only on PC.
Is that the case?
I believe so.
I guess that makes sense. Sony and Microsoft wouldn't agree to that. Sony only allows dong if it's from Rockstar.
Yeah.
Classic Rockstar.
Yeah. It's truly an injustice. We need to see Dante's dong. It's been hidden by the pizza too long. I can't even yeah.
I said it's
What?
got its own physics.
Yeah, look, we need to see how good the combo is going. That's why I need to see it.
Oh man. Pank, did you ever hear about that? The Dante dick physics?
Nope.
So before Devil May Cry 5's release, there was a trailer where someone had like a bit of motion in the crotch of Dante's pants. And they noted it could only be seen in one shot where Dante had a high combo rating. So from there, they made the logical conclusion that Dante has jiggle physics for his crotch, and the jiggle physics get more and more nuts the higher your combo rating is. Which was, as it turns out, not even remotely true, any part of that. There were no dick jiggle physics. It was just simply because there was a visual effect going on, a special effects going on in that shot that made it look like his crotch was vibrating. But nonetheless, it stuck around the idea that if you get the high combo rating with Dante in Devil May Cry 5, his dick jiggles.
Ah.
It's been a long day, huh, Pank? I'm hearing the "it's been a long day" noise from Pink here.
No, it's good. I mean, it has,
Alright.
but it's good.
But let's see. I don't. What was I even talking about? All right, Conan Exiles. Well, I guess I didn't have anything else to really say about that. So, considering I don't have anything else to really say about that, and that I am being requested to do a little bit of work around here, I think we're pretty well able to wrap this up, huh?
Sounds good.
All
Well,
right, bye.
that was quick.
Later, folks.